detours ahead, what drivers need to know as the University Bridge and part of College Drive undergo construction. An email transfer gone wrong, why a Saskatchewan woman is out thousands of dollars. And what difficult times at Saskatoon's Supervised consumption site mean for other frontline organizations.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the detours ahead. Construction season is beginning after the long weekend with a number of projects closing down a major artery in the city. Keenan Sorokon walks us through what to expect this spring and summer.
Saskatoon drivers are being told to expect some major traffic headaches with the city's busiest bridge set to close.
This will undoubtedly cause disruption for people, but these projects, construction projects, are necessary to protect our valuable infrastructure.
As part of 3 projects lasting for months to prepare the city for Link, the University Bridge all the way to Hospital Drive will close on Monday for repairs on top and underneath until mid-June. Only emergency vehicles will have access during this time. The only way into Royal University Hospital will be from the westbound College Drive lane. The bridge will then open to 1 lane in each direction until August.
Is it perfect? No. But again, these projects will protect and strengthen our assets, and in the case of BRT, completely modernize our transit system.
But wait, there's more. Crews will also spend months working to get Link ready along the median lanes of College Drive as the street transforms with bus-only lanes from Clarence to Cumberland Avenue. Work could take 4 to 6 months, with the majority of 1-lane restrictions expected to be lifted by the time students are back on campus in September. The project marks a 3rd straight summer of major work along College Drive. The city will tinker with traffic lights to help alleviate congestions in other areas.
When we closed the University Bridge 11 years ago, I remember the headline Bridgeageddon, and that didn't happen.
But wait, there's more. On the other side of the bridge, 4 months of work on 25th Street from 1st Avenue to Spadina Crescent for water main repairs will begin in mid-May, with 1 lane of traffic also flowing there.
Some frustration is expected, but a little grace will help everyone get through the construction period safely.
More construction is expected next year ahead of Link's launch in 2028. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatchewan woman says she's out thousands of dollars after an insurance payout never reached her account, and now police are investigating the situation as fraud. CTV's Laura Woodward on what's being described as a stealthy email takeover scam.
This is how I keep my sanity.
Frances Iwanchuk turns to crocheting to cope with what's become a stressful situation. Back in January, Iwanchuk's son hit a deer, writing off the family vehicle. SGI approved an $11,000 payout, offering to send the money online.
So I thought, well, perfect, it'll come with e-transfer.
She says her SGI adjuster provided the e-transfer password over the phone.
As soon as I was done talking to him, I just went in and did it. But it wouldn't work.
But her adjuster told her the money was successfully deposited.
Unfortunately, we are unable to reissue payment due to these findings.
Iwanchuk's bank told her it can't say who received the money or where it was deposited, but pointed to fraud as a possible explanation.
This is very stressful.
Iwanchuk later realized the e-transfer was spam, sent from an email not associated with SGI. She went into an SGI office to confirm the adjuster's phone number.
It was legit. I was talking to the right people.
Call display can be spoofed.
Tech expert Carmi Levy says just because the phone number matched doesn't mean the person on the other end was an SGI employee.
This looks like an email account takeover,
with fraudsters likely gaining access to Iwanchuk's email ahead of time, quietly watching.
And then they very quickly pounce.
So that e-transfer she received, it's not an e-transfer at all. It's just a link, a way for scammers to get in?
Exactly. And what they were doing is they knew through, in some way, that she was expecting a payment. And so they capitalized on that.
Levy believes the real e-transfer was sent, but it was intercepted and redirected. In an email to CTV News, SGI says it can't comment on specific claims, but confirmed it does provide e-transfers up to $25,000. Battleford's RCMP are investigating the case, and Iwanchuk is hopeful police can recover the money.
We need that money. We're down a vehicle, and I mean, that's not petty cash.
While waiting for answers, she's trying to keep calm, one stitch at a time. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Concern is mounting following the closure of Saskatoon's supervised consumption site. Prairie Harm Reduction recently had its exemption pulled after a major financial shortfall came to light. And as Stacey Hine tells us, other community organizations are seeing their demand grow.
With Prairie Harm Reduction facing a major financial shortfall and its supervised consumption site now closed, one man who comes here often says there aren't many options for places to go.
There's nowhere to go but here.
Meanwhile, some are turning to other organizations for support, including the Saskatoon Indian and Métis Friendship Centre.
There's different hubs that people will congregate at. So we've noticed that more people are all starting to come here.
The PHR Board of Directors said last week it learned of a significant financial shortfall on March 5th. It said demand for its supervised consumption site increased by about 300% over the past year, adding it spent beyond its means to avoid turning people away and has brought in external experts to review its finances. PHR runs several programs on top of a supervised consumption site, including a drop-in center and support services. Publicly available charity return information on the CRA website shows Prairie Harm Reduction's total expenditures on compensation increased from just over $2.8 million in the fiscal year ending March of 2023 to more than $3.8 million in 2025, with more full-time staff and fewer part-time or seasonal workers. CTV News asked the board about that increase and its financial oversight, but did not receive a response. The province, which funds some of PHR's programs, has also cut $2.5 million in annual funding. The Friendship Centre says if more services disappear, pressure on other organizations will grow.
The fact that Prairie Harm has housing and other supports, if those supports close down, it's going to be very taxing on the rest of us.
Earlier this week, the PHR Board of Directors said it's expecting a preliminary financial report early this month and that its drop-in centre remains open. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Meanwhile, some medical experts are warning that the Saskatchewan government's forced addictions treatment plan may not play out as well as it sounds in theory. As Donovan Mace tells us, while they're supportive of helping people dealing with major addiction problems, they say voluntary supports also need to be there.
As the province works through passing its plan to make addictions treatment compulsory in some circumstances, the Saskatchewan Medical Association questions how it will work and urges the province to proceed with caution.
People need to buy into these treatments. These are life-changing decisions that people are making.
Dubbed the Compassionate Intervention Act, the provincial government says compulsory treatment supports individuals with severe addictions who are not capable of seeking help despite serious health and safety risks. Arnold says there is no evidence supporting involuntary treatment alone leads to successful rehab.
People will have had a sudden decrease in their tolerance, and if they haven't had the supports that they need in place to maintain their sobriety when they leave, if they go out and use the same substances they used before, they're at increased risk of overdose.
The College of Physicians and Surgeons of Saskatchewan siding with the SMA in a statement saying there is currently an insufficient number of facilities to provide appropriate treatment for individuals who are voluntarily seeking help. Minister of Mental Health and Addictions Lori Carr says she's met with both organizations to address their concerns.
We don't agree on everything, but what we do agree is that we need to get individuals help.
Carr reiterating the bill aims to get those in severe situations into treatment.
And this is for those individuals that actually don't have the capacity to make that decision on their own. So what we're doing is we're finding a space for those individuals.
It's really a decision that a person needs to make and be supported in making that decision and receive continual supports.
The government says it remains on track to pass the act through the legislature during this spring session. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
Tuberculosis remains an issue in northern Saskatchewan. It says health officials actively trying to slow the spread. Jasmine Pelche on the numbers and the impact.
The NDP says Internal Health Authority information shows 22 cases of tuberculosis diagnosed between January 1st, 2025 and February 28th, 2026 across Prince Albert and surrounding areas.
And we want to make sure, one, that the people in the affected communities know that there's active cases of TB.
Indigenous Services Canada says tuberculosis rates among First Nations are 6 times higher than the provincial rate.
Indigenous people in a higher proportion in the north of Saskatchewan. That's why our TB cases are higher.
Saskatchewan's Chief Medical Health Officer says that patients may need antibiotics for up to 6 months, but that tuberculosis is treatable in everyone and is not infectious after 2 weeks of treatment.
So even if someone is on TB treatment, if they've been cleared from TB control, that you're no longer infectious, there should be no stigma with meeting someone with TB.
He says that tuberculosis is more likely to spread in close contact environments. The province says the risk to the general public is low.
It is not easily spread. To be infected, you generally must have a close friend, frequent or prolonged contact over a long period of several hours with someone to become infectious. When public health becomes aware of a TB case, work is done to identify and directly contact people who have been potentially exposed.
Saskatchewan has some of the highest rates of tuberculosis in the country. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority is reminding people that severely immunocompromised adults and children are now eligible to be immunized against COVID-19. It says between April 1st and June 15th, all adults 65 and older, adults 18 years and older in long-term care, private care homes, and other group living settings, as well as anyone 6 months of age and older who are moderately or severely immunocompromised because of a condition or treatment are eligible. People can make an appointment at SHA clinics and participating pharmacies. Jeff, I think not having the sunshine today made all the difference.
Boy, it did make a difference. And on top of that, we had some wind. So even though temperatures, they weren't warm, but goodness knows it wasn't way below zero. But the wind and the lack of sunshine made a big difference. Also making a big difference in other parts of the province. This big storm that's in Alberta clipping southwestern Saskatchewan, but nothing like the mess that's going on in parts of central and eastern Canada. And if your travels are taking you into Ontario or Quebec, we'll tell you why. You've got more of this in store in a little bit.
A man found guilty of fatally stabbing a Regina man at an after-grad party 20 years ago. We'll find out next month if he'll be sentenced as an adult. 19-year-old Misha Pavlik was fatally injured at a grad party near Regina Beach in May of 2006. In November, a 37-year-old Regina man was found guilty of second-degree murder in connection with Pavlik's death. The man was 17 at the time and cannot be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. This week, the Crown and defense argued if he should be sentenced as an adult or a youth. The arguments wrapped up today with the judge reserving her decision until May 26th. Monday marks 8 years since the Humboldt Broncos bus crash that claimed 16 lives and left 13 others injured, and plans are moving forward for a permanent memorial. The memorial will be built at the crash site at Highways 35 and 335 near Tisdale and include pathways and a sitting area, as well as a monument in honor of the 16 who lost their lives and 13 others forever impacted. The city of Humboldt says a tender for the asphalt work has been awarded and will take place this year. In addition to the memorial, a future recreation facility is planned, which will include tribute elements that reflect the outpouring of support received from around the world following the crash. Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools has announced the name of its high school planned for the Holmwood area. The Holmwood development is located east of McCormick Drive and north of 8th Street, and a joint use facility is planned by the Catholic School Division and Saskatoon Public Schools. Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools says after consultations, a decision has been made that its school will be called St. Pier Giorgio Frassati High School. Pier Giorgio Frassati was born in 1901 in Italy, and although he died at the age of 24 of polio complications, he spent much of his life helping the poor, spending his own money to buy medicine, food, and clothing for them. He was canonized as a saint last September. The public high school, part of the joint use facility, has yet to be named. The community of Duck Lake will not be renamed after all. Last fall, a campaign was launched that would accept bids to buy the naming rights to the town. The minimum acceptable bid was $10 million. The town's mayor says the deadline for offers was on Tuesday, and there were no bidders, which would have required a vote among residents before a final name change could happen. The idea of selling naming rights for the community, which is steeped in Métis history, was upsetting for many of the 500 residents. The mayor says although the campaign did not provide a bidder, it did spark interest from developers, which he says hasn't happened in years. Saskatoon's Prairie Lily will set sail this season with new owners at the helm. The previous owners, Mike and Joan Stecken, retired last season, a season that kept the Prairie Lily docked as water levels were too low for safe passage. After 14 years of sailing, the couple have sold the tour boat to Stephanie Simicott and her family. The Simon family says that they are looking forward to the new adventures on the South Saskatchewan River and will have more details on the upcoming season when they can. A boost today for Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Cameco donating $5 million, which Sask Poly says will support the Time to Rise campaign and the construction of the new Joseph A. Ramey Saskatoon campus. It will also go toward the construction of the new Cameco Virtual Reality Mine Lab. The VR lab is promoted as a cutting-edge learning space for mining education, preparing students for the industry. Students will be able to access remote, underground, or inaccessible locations and grow their knowledge about diverse mining conditions. Sask Poly says around 1,800 students have graduated and launched their careers in the mining industry with Cameco.
On every given year, I wouldn't have those numbers handy, but 400 go to the sector, and that's part of a bigger graduation class that we have each and every year. We graduate about a little over 5,500 students every year, 97% employment rate, and 95% of those students are staying in Saskatchewan and working in Saskatchewan, and they go to all sectors, but the mining sector in particular, about 400 of them.
The gift from Cameco will also support an industrial mechanics certificate program for Northern Indigenous women at the Prince Albert campus. Still to come, 2 uranium mining projects closer to reality in Saskatchewan. Also, the impact of rising gas prices in Canada. Who will start to charge more for consumer goods? You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. 2 new uranium sites are headed to Saskatchewan. As Damian Smith reports, the projects are the first to be approved in over 2 decades.
2 new uranium mining projects are set to proceed in northern Saskatchewan following recent federal approval. Construction of the Denison Mines Wheeler River project and NextGen Energy's Rook 1 project are both expected to take about 2 years and are the first new uranium mines approved since 2004.
It spells out good news all around. I mean, we're a stable province and a stable country with a great source of uranium, the best uranium you're going to find in this world.
There's just not enough uranium fuel going around. And so, thank goodness we were doing the work we were doing back in 2011, 2013, 2014 when we made the discovery, because it does take a long time to bring the fuel into a reactor.
NextGen says 600 people have gone through 15 training programs to work on the mine, and the permitting process was the final step.
And the benefit of a long permitting process is, we've had a long time to plan, test our plan, test our systems, build a culture, develop a workforce.
According to the government of Saskatchewan, over 3,300 jobs are in the uranium sector across the province, with 43% of mine site workers being residents of northern Saskatchewan. So far, NextGen has sold uranium to U.S. utilities, while Denison plans to sell in Canada, the United States, Western Europe, and Democratic Asia.
They know that when they buy uranium from Saskatchewan, that it's been safely regulated and that it's a sustainable source of production, and so they can purchase from us with great trust.
NextGen says that the construction and the initial operations phase will generate an estimate of $32.5 billion in total economic impact.
It means for them it means generational positive change for those communities across all fronts, creating businesses, creating long-lasting careers.
Damian Smith, CTV News, Regina.
Crude oil prices shot up today. The markets rattled after Donald Trump's televised address last night, where he said nothing new on Iran. That prompted gas prices in Canada to soar, with a call from the Conservative leader to give Canadians a tax break. And now Amazon says sellers will also pay a price. CTV's Graham Richardson looks at the implications heading into the Easter long weekend.
Food truck driver Maurice knows all about the pain at the pumps.
I fill up every 2 days.
So what was it and what is it?
It used to be 100, now it's 140.
And it's not just what you pay here. Input costs are going up everywhere, which eventually will trickle down to consumers buying off the shelves. On Thursday, Amazon announced it will now charge an extra 3.5% for anyone selling on the giant site, directly because of higher fuel costs.
Good folks. Thank you. There's someone who wants to pay less for gas.
Stepping into all of this economic pain, Pierre Poilievre, Conservatives now pushing the Carney government to declare a tax holiday on all fuel. Zero tax until the end of 2026.
Every single thing you buy has to be transported by truck and train using fuel. By cutting the fuel tax, you lower the cost of everything and make paychecks go further.
This is an expensive idea that would cost the government more than $5.5 billion to implement in this year alone. Conservatives say a cut to zero federal tax for the rest of the year would drop 25 cents per liter off the average fuel price, saving a family of four more than $1,200. Poilievre points to Australia, Spain, and Ireland. They've all cut fuel taxes to ease the pain for consumers. In a taping for CTV's Question Period this weekend, Transport Minister Steve McKinnon said this about possible gas tax relief.
It's an interesting idea that I heard from Mr. Poilievre, but I haven't been part of any discussion about removing the gas tax.
Like so many Canadians, Maurice has met this latest surge in costs with more of a shrug than anger, at least for now. And he doesn't have a choice.
I've been doing this for 51 years. And I've never seen it this high.
So what are the chances the government takes Conservative suggestion to drop the gas tax to zero? Probably zero. But the Carney Liberals are under increasing pressure to do more, to do something, to give consumers a break as gas prices remain sky high. Graham Richardson, CTV News, Ottawa.
The person appointed to one of the most powerful positions in the United States has been fired. Pam Bondi was let go by the U.S. president today. Sources say Donald Trump was frustrated by the pace of prosecutions against critics. Bondi also received criticism over the handling of the Epstein files, and there were accusations concerning independence at the Justice Department. Today, Trump praised her as a great American patriot and a loyal friend. Bondi says leading efforts to make America safer and more secure has been the honor of a lifetime. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will take over temporarily. This is Holy Thursday for Christians, and at the Vatican, the Pope has begun events leading up to Easter Sunday. The pontiff performed the first Chrism Mass of his papacy today. It is when the oil used in Catholic religious ceremonies throughout the year is blessed. During his homily, Pope Leo warned against the abuse of power and the desire for domination. He called for unity and peace in this dark hour of history. Tomorrow, the pontiff will preside over the Good Friday procession at Rome's Colosseum and a late-night Easter vigil on Saturday, followed by Easter Sunday.
Hi, I'm Claire with Wide Open Children's Theatre. Come see Balloonatic at the Refinery from April 3rd to the 12th. You can get tickets at wideopen.ca. What I want to know is, what's the weather like there, Jeff?
There you go. Close that door and get back to business. Well, it looks like, I know tomorrow is the first show for Balloonatic, and it looks like temperatures are going to be okay, not seasonal, but let's take a closer look at the actual numbers. 3 degrees for a daytime high. Typically, we should be around 6, but it's still above 0. Just cloudy skies, and tomorrow's performance is at 2 o'clock at the refinery, and you can get more information on your tickets at wideopen.ca. Now, a quick look at what we have going on right now with our numbers. 0 degrees in Saskatoon. It's been a breezy day, and it continues to be a bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the east at 22. Not quite as windy in Prince Albert, where it's cloudy and 1 degree, and -1 right now in the Battlefords. Winds out of the east at 20 kilometers an hour. Saskatoon's almanac, well, a daytime high today of just 0 degrees, so 6 degrees below seasonal. The record warm temperature on April the 2nd, that's 20 degrees. That was set in 1992. The record cold temperature on this date from 1954, that's -28 degrees. And the sun is going to go down at 7:42.
Coming up, celebrating Saskatchewan athletes, how Saskatchewan is honoring those who competed in Milano Cortina.
New study is hoping to learn about environmental factors and cancer. Monday on Your Morning, what researchers are hoping to learn and why they need you to participate in the study.
And here we go, taking a look through the live lens of Skycam. A lot of cloud out there right now. There is the possibility there might be a little bit of flurry activity with these clouds, but right now we'll just keep our eye on things. We've had ourselves a bit of a coolish day, but let's take a look and see what we have going on with the active weather. And the most of the active weather is in Alberta and into Montana and parts of Saskatchewan. Now, some of that has migrated far enough north to clip us, but we'll have to wait and see. But a real mess in Ontario and Quebec and parts of the Great Lakes region in the States. This is the first round, gets out of there, and then it hammers parts of the Atlantic region. Then another Colorado low is going to hit the same parts, basically rinse and repeat. So if your Easter travels are taking you into Eastern Canada or the Atlantic region, you've got that to keep in mind. So let's take a look and see what else we got going on here. 0 degrees in Saskatoon, 1 in Prince Albert, and -1 in the Battlefords. On to our hot and cold spot. Well, the hot spot for another day in a row was Maple Creek today at 5, yesterday at 11. Key Lake, the cold spot, at -25. Around the province we go. -1 degrees in Lloydminster, 0 in Swift Current and Estevan and Yorkton, and 1 in Regina. A closer look at central parts of the province. Temperatures ranging from -1 in a number of communities up to 4 degrees. That's in Waskesiu. Up to the northern parts of the province. On the plus side in Sandy Bay Island Falls, where it's 4 degrees. It's also on the plus side in La Ronge and Key Lake and South End and Buffalo Narrows. A little cooler, though, but still manageable. In Stony Rapids and Collins Bay and down south. Wow, look at that. You know, if you bet on zeros, you were going to win, but oh no, 3 1s show up, and we're going to have to take that money away from you. But look at that. Not much of a temperature range at all in southern Saskatchewan. Our futurecast indicating that system continues to cycle through Montana and into the Dakotas, but leaving Saskatchewan behind. But a little something showing up in northeastern or the northwestern Saskatchewan. We've got ourselves that snowfall. Might be about 2 centimeters of snow in Stony Rapids. Temperatures in the north hovering around 2 degrees. A similar pattern, 2 or 3 degrees for west central Saskatchewan with Meadow Lake and Rosetown. Possibility of some flurries there. Maybe about a 60% chance of flurries. For southwestern Saskatchewan, temperatures of around 3 or 4 degrees throughout the region under cloudy skies. Cloudy or mainly cloudy conditions in the southeast with pretty much the same temperature pattern, around 3 degrees. And into the east central part of Saskatchewan, 2 degrees for Melfort and Watrous, 1 in Humboldt, and 4 in Hudson Bay under cloudy skies. The Battleford's dropping down to -3 tonight. There's that chance of flurries or the risk of freezing rain. Tomorrow, still a chance of some flurries as a small system, a little disturbance slides on through. For Saturday, 5 degrees, but cooling off for Easter Sunday, 0 degrees, and 1 on Monday. For Prince Albert and area, an overnight temperature of -6 degrees. Again, a 60% chance of flurries, a risk of freezing rain, cloudy conditions for Good Friday, and a high of 3 degrees. 4 degrees on Saturday with a chance of showers, about a 40% chance. Cloudy conditions on Easter Sunday, and then early next week, a little bit on the unsettled side, shall we say. And for Saskatoon, again, about a 60% chance of flurries with a risk of freezing rain. The wind's backing off. The overnight temperature -3 degrees and jumping up to 3 degrees on the plus side tomorrow. Winds out of the south at 15, cloudy skies. And that's Good Friday. And for Saturday, Holy Saturday, 5 degrees. And then on Sunday, Easter Sunday, 1 degree, and a similar situation on Monday. Tuesday, though, jumping up to 7.
multiple Juno nominee Kathleen Edwards is set to perform Friday evening at the Broadway. The music starts at 8 o'clock.
There's the tiniest bit of nuance needed here.
Seen here in rehearsal, Witches in Salem is a satirical response to the famous play The Crucible. Witches in Salem runs until Sunday at Studio 914. The Hip Experience, a tribute to the tragically hip, will be live on stage Friday and Saturday at the Capitol Music Club.
Whoa! I totally didn't even hear you come in.
25th Street Theater's school tour production, What If, is holding 2 public performances. That's Friday and Saturday at the Nutrient Wonder Hub.
I do this for me, I do this for you, I do this for me.
K-Man and the 45s will be rocking out at Amigos on Friday night.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Saturday afternoon at the Broadway, you can treat the family to a free screening of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Showtime is 2 o'clock.
I'm a cross-cut song. I said, drag me across your lawn.
BC Reed is cranking out the blues Wednesday and Thursday at Bud's on Broadway.
Saturday night and we're gonna stay home, gonna keep the world out with the lights down low.
Thursday, April 9th, The Basement welcomes East Coast musician Dave Gunning. The music starts at 7:30.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
And
Dirty Dancing in concert lands at TCU Place on Thursday, April 9th. Watch a digitally remastered screening while a live band and singers perform songs from the soundtrack.
Well, Jeff, it's all about the cars this weekend in Saskatoon.
And not just about cars, about the group they support as well.
We know it's a bit on the cold side, but spring is here and a spring tradition has returned for the 64th time. Yes, the Dragons Rod and Custom Car Club having their annual car show. Shane Arthur's past president of the Dragons with us today. For those people who have never been before, how do you describe it?
Well, once you come in and see all the cars, you got to go through a second spin because you miss something. There's so much. There's 250 cars this year plus. It's unbelievable.
And I know you always take time to make sure that it's not the same cars every year.
No, last year I think we had 180 plus first time showing, and I'm pretty sure we're close to that number this year again.
And over and above taking a look at the cars, there's lots of other things going on. You have the Battle of the Automotive Mechanics again.
Battle of Automotive Technicians is going on, sponsored by Canadian Tire Preston Crossing. We got Hot Wheels for the kids come in. They got their own little track, so that's really cool. We got Valve Cover Racing doing a live auction at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So there's lots of stuff going on.
Now, this takes place over 2 days, Friday and Saturday. What are the hours on both of those days?
9 to 9 both days, Friday and Saturday. 3rd and 4th, Prairie Land Park.
All right, how much does it cost to get in?
$20. And your money all goes to Camp Easter Seal.
And that's an important part to bring up because I know the Dragons have been very close to Camp Easter Seal over the entire run of the car show. And I know it's a substantial amount of money that you've donated to Camp Easter Seal.
I think we're over $3.5 million now. We've built cabins, rec center, the pool, like lots of stuff. And it goes to camp. Once you see that kid have a smile on their face going to camp, it's awesome.
It is awesome. And so much going on. So once again, that's Friday and Saturday, Prairie Land Park, the 64th annual Dragons Rod and Custom Car Club, their annual show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Jeff. Pick of the day is all about some furry friends today.
That's right. It's Crittersorama. So we're going to start off with this picture here. And this one comes to us from Peggy at Christopher Lake. Happy Easter from Scat the Cat. Here's the story behind his name. He showed up as a stray over a year ago. We tried to scare him off by saying Scat, Scat. But he never left. And now he comes to the name Scat. I'm not sure if Scat's crazy about the outfit, but there you go. It's a great picture. Next, from Stu and Esther at Emma Lake. This was sent to us yesterday. While enjoying a coffee on the deck, our wee fox stopped by for a visit. This is a regular daily visit for the last 4 years. He stops to bask in the sun and seems to enjoy the safety of his environment. Yeah, it looks like a nice deck there. And finally, from Lori, hello. I wanted to share a picture of my dog, hoping he would make the news. This is my dog, Trips, on his birthday. he turned 8. Looking good there, Trips. And yes, thanks to everyone who sent in pictures today. And if you'd like to send us an image, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. And please put pick of the day in the subject line. And you can scan the QR code for more information.
Still to come on CTV News, highlighting athletic accomplishments. Saskatchewan celebrates Olympians and Paralympians. Saskatchewan was well represented at the 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Games in Milano Cortina. From Emily Clark's silver in hockey, Brittany Hudak's bronze in para cross country, to Gil Dash winning gold in wheelchair curling. Jacob Carr was at the Legislative Building where coaches, athletes and officials were honored today.
You have honored Saskatchewan and you have honored Canada.
A contingent of Saskatchewan Olympians were on hand to be acknowledged by the Minister of Parks, Culture and Sport. That included wheelchair curling gold medalist Gil Dash, who described how the winning moment felt.
And just a huge release of emotion, just relief and happiness, and to be able to go out on the ice and have the Canadian flag, that is a big, proud moment.
Also on hand was Karen Howard from Melville, who judged the figure skating competition in Italy.
It's such a privilege and such an honor. I remember watching the Olympics, back when they were in Calgary, and I said, I want to be there someday as an official. And it's, been a lot of dedicated work.
Both Howard and Dash relived some of their most cherished moments from being a part of the competitions. For Howard, it was witnessing a Canadian figure skating duo step onto the podium.
My real highlight, I think, would have been Piper and Paul winning their bronze medal. I've watched them for many years, and it was so beautiful to see that special moment in Milano Cortina.
For Dash, he pointed out a moment where he was heading to the Venice airport with a private shuttle driver.
We stopped in traffic, ran around, slid my side door open so the guy had the camera right there, and we're singing "We Are the Champions of the World," and everyone's there. That was a great time as well.
So whether it be an athlete or a judge, plenty of Saskatchewan products making the province proud for their accomplishments at both the Olympics and Paralympics. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
When we come back, the Riders get ready to come to Saskatoon, and later a trade-off for students, how they're showcasing their knowledge and skills.
Welcome back. Time to take a look at the rural forecast as we head towards for Good Friday. Well, look at this. Temperatures on the plus side for most locations, but it's not all cloudy conditions in terms of a lack of precipitation. We do anticipate some flurries up in the Meadow Lake area. Otherwise, we are looking at cloudy conditions for most locations. Temperatures around 2 or 3 degrees, which is below seasonal. We know that much. 4 in Hudson Bay, 1 in Wynyard. A bit of sunshine poking through the cloud deck in Wynyard, but not really warming things up. Down south, well, temperatures don't jump up big time at all. We have a possibility of some flurries in Rosetown and East End, Cypress Hills. East End, Cypress Hills area may see, when all is said and done, something's, what happens tonight and into tomorrow, maybe up to about 4 centimeters of snow. Everywhere else, a little bit of something in the Rosetown area, but otherwise we're looking at cloudy skies and temperatures of around 3 degrees. And does that include Springside? The answer is yes. 3 degrees in Springside on Friday. Cloudy conditions and winds from the south at 10, shifting around a northeasterly wind, but not a very strong wind. It's not a windy day tomorrow, so we've got that to look forward to. And once again, Springside is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders are a little more than a month away from their annual visit to Saskatoon for the first half of training camp. The defending Grey Cup champions, led once again by quarterback Trevor Harris, say they're excited about the receivers.
To say that I came to Saskatchewan just to win one would be a lie. I didn't come here to win a Grey Cup or to win 1 Grey Cup, or to even win 2. I came here to see how high we could, to leave this place a better place than we found it. And Coach Mace has done a great job leading the troops to do that. And I think we're in the beginning stages of a great era to be a Saskatchewan Roughrider, and I'm just grateful that I get to be a part of it. And I'm looking forward to hopefully taking this organization another step further this year and making this organization and team where it needs to be in terms of history and historic greatness.
Rookie camp begins May 6th from Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon. Main camp starts on the 10th. Some producers are voicing concern about Ottawa's temporary allowance of the use of strychnine, saying they've been left out. Farmers in the RM of Lake Johnson in southern Saskatchewan say they have a severe gopher problem and were left off the areas given strychnine access. Since the poison was banned, they say the problem has gotten worse, taking time and resources away from other duties to address the overpopulation.
I kept a slight track of it last year, and we figured to be over $10,000 in labor of me supplying, paying my guys to do it, and that doesn't cost the cost of running this equipment. It's just a battle that's just not going to stop, so we just need to try and get our best shot at this, and I think the strychnine is going to help us out.
Strychnine has been banned across Canada since 2024, but the federal government has allowed its use temporarily until November of 2027. Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon is just over $1.72 a litre. The lowest price in town is $1.64.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $1.5650 and Nutrien was up $1.52. Coming up, a new way to remember the Armistice 2 mission. Then U of S students showcase their skills.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here tonight at 7, starting with the Next Level Chef. Well, the Royal Canadian Mint has launched a new coin that is out of this world. You could say the colorful $20 fine silver collector's coin celebrates the Artemis 2, the first crewed mission to the moon since the end of the Apollo program in 1972. The coin depicts a Canadian Space Agency astronaut backed by an engraving of the moon, which glows under black light. Cool. The coin was designed by artist Pandora Young. Colonel Jeremy Hansen is aboard NASA's Orion crew capsule and is the first Canadian to fly around the moon. That would be a nice keepsake.
That is very cool.
I thought you'd like that. Our birthdays are coming, so you buy me one, I'll buy you one.
Okay, fair enough.
Something like that.
Okay, well, June's a far way off.
It definitely is, but not June-like temperatures yet.
No. If we have time, I'll just quickly say that we've got ourselves a situation where temperatures are going to be cooler than seasonal, a bit of cloud, but the good news is not a lot in the way of wind, so not nearly the biting wind that we had today. So it's not a bad, situation for those of you who are heading out for Good Friday, and then, of course, the weekend itself. I think maybe some of the sunrise services look like they're going to be okay. So fingers crossed. That's the way it stays.
Some parts of the province seeing a few flakes, flurries.
Some in the southwest seeing a lot of flakes because, as I mentioned, places like Maple Creek, Cypress Hills, they may see up to 4 centimeters of snow, and it's been a messy day down south. And even Saskatoon, Prince Albert, and the Battlefords, there's a slight chance we might see some flurries tonight as well.
All right. Well, as always, if you are heading out, it's always wise to check the highway hotline.
Indeed, especially if you're traveling on the Easter weekend.
Absolutely. All right. Well, students had a chance to showcase some innovative ideas to address environmental and sustainability issues. U of S students taking part in the Sustainability Trade Show today, allowing them to present their work that combines both social and natural sciences. Topics range from hydroponics, finding ways to reduce textile and food waste, to improving indoor air quality. And we'll leave you with some of their projects tonight. Have a safe and happy Easter weekend.
Take care.